Welcome to South First. I'm Anusha Ravi Sood, and you're watching State of Play, a weekly roundup of all things politics and policy from the southern states. On this episode of State of Play, we speak about the one topic that is making the headlines in the recent past: delimitation. Welcome to the show. Come March 5th, and DMK is all set to hold an all-party meeting about delimitation process and its probable adverse effects, especially on southern states. The M.K. Stalin-led government in Tamil Nadu has taken the initiative of running a full-fledged campaign about the delimitation process, demanding a fair, equal distribution of seats to southern states, especially Tamil Nadu. And he has found support among his counterparts in Karnataka, in Kerala, Telangana even. Although Chandrababu Naidu, an ally of the BJP, who is the chief minister in Andhra Pradesh, cannot take as open a stance about delimitation, he has, however, indicated that states with larger population end up getting larger benefits and has been pushing for better fertility states in Andhra Pradesh. So why are southern states so worried about the delimitation process, and why is it that they are unwilling to buy Union Home Minister Amit Shah's statement that the delimitation process will not reduce a single seat from the south? Not many takers there, and that is with good reason. Even as Stalin has been finding a lot of support outside his own state, there are critics, including BJP state unit in Tamil Nadu, that has already written to Stalin expressing that it will not be part of the all-party meeting that DMK has called for on the 5th of March. DMK, on its part, has been running several campaigns, especially on social media, holding Twitter debates, Facebook Lives, almost on a daily basis. Its MPs coming out and making statements on why the state is concerned about delimitation, perhaps on a daily basis, and it is with good reason. Tamil Nadu, after all, is heading to elections in 2026 alongside Kerala, and delimitation has become a larger talking point, especially on the matter of federalism and interests of states. So what is delimitation and why is it such a huge concern? Well, the Delimitation Commission of India is entrusted with the responsibility of redrawing boundaries of constituencies for both the Lok Sabha as well as the state assemblies, so that every now and then, based on the latest census data, every constituency pretty much has even number of electors, so an MP can represent pretty much an even number of voters in the country. However, in 1976, this process of redrawing boundaries of constituencies was frozen, which means the constituencies that we have today, the Lok Sabha constituencies, are still based on the 1971 census data. During the emergency, then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, put the delimitation process on hold, or rather froze it, using the 42nd Amendment to the Constitution. Under the BJP's Vajpayee government in 2002, this freeze was extended till after 2026 census. This was done so that states that had actually implemented population control measures effectively were not penalized. In 2009, this process resumed partially, where constituency boundaries were redrawn, but no new constituencies were added or constituencies were reduced from any state. But this has now led to extreme discrepancy in the number of people each MP represents. For example, a constituency in Uttar Pradesh may have, say, about 3 million voters, whereas a constituency in Tamil Nadu has just about 1.7, 1.8 million voters. Now the freeze on this delimitation process is all set to be lifted in 2026. That is next year. We don't even have a year for this process to begin. Ideally, it should have been based on the 2021 census data, but the Narendra Modi government has not held census, and now we don't know what the population of India is, except we have to rely on projected numbers. The government of India is expected to hold a census in 2026, and delimitation process is expected to be based on that data. In the 1970s, when the delimitation process was put on hold, every constituency in India had about 1.1 million voters. Now that there is no census, we have to rely on projected numbers, and projected numbers say that India's population has crossed 1.4 billion already. If the same yardstick of the 1977 is implemented today, every constituency can have only 1.1 million voters, then we will end up having more than 1,400 Lok Sabha constituencies. Of course, that is not possible because the new parliament building itself has only 888 seats for our MPs. In that system, if we have 1,400 Lok Sabha constituencies, Uttar Pradesh alone will have about 250 MPs. That is how huge the representation for that one single state would be. But now, if we were to recalculate, just based on population numbers, if we were to recalculate the numbers to say 2 million voters in every constituency, then that will come up to about 700 Lok Sabha seats. Even in this scenario, states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar put together will have over 225 MPs. Now, you may ask what the problem is. Well, the problem is skewed representation. In a scenario like that, where we have about 700 Lok Sabha MPs, all southern states put together, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu put together, will still have just about 170 seats. Compare this to the number of 225 for just Uttar Pradesh and Bihar put together. Now, this is the concern of southern states when it comes to delimitation process purely based on population, that despite implementing the union government's plan of family planning, population control through tools like education, awareness, etc., we are still being penalized, while non-performing or underperforming states in the north and central parts of India may end up having far more representation, as if to reward them for not effectively implementing population control measures. As always, I bring you data to back what I'm saying. Very recently, the Union Health Ministry gave data in the Parliament in the form of an answer to a question raised by one of our elected representatives that shows how states have performed in managing population, in balancing population, and what their total fertility rates are. Again, the national replacement rate, total fertility rate, is supposed to be 2. However, states like Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh have total fertility rate of just about 1.7. Other southern states like Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Kerala have 1.8. This is far lower than the national average of 2. But larger North Indian states or Central Indian states or otherwise states of the Hindi belt like Bihar, its total fertility rate still is 3. Uttar Pradesh is 2.4. Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan is 2. And these are the numbers after 50 years, after 5 decades of pushing these states to perform better in population control, to implement effective population control measures. 50 years later, their total fertility rates are nearly twice as much as southern states. Until about 2015, Bihar's total fertility rate was 4. That is twice as much as the national average, the recommended number of replacement rates, 2. In contrast, Tamil Nadu's fertility rates dropped to 2 way back in 2001. This is true, this pattern is true for other southern states too, which means these states achieved population stabilization decades before larger Hindi belt states that are still above the recommended average for the entire country. How did southern states achieve this? Effective implementation of family planning schemes, healthcare, accessible, affordable healthcare, education, especially focused on education of women. In contrast, the other states in question have failed on all these fronts. Imagine you're in a competition. There are a set of rules, there are yardsticks that are set, and there are hurdles for you to cross. You have adhered to every single rule. You have achieved every single yardstick, and you have overcome every single hurdle and emerged the winner in this competition. But you are penalized for it, and the other person, your competitor, who did not adhere to any of the rules, who did not achieve any yardstick, who stumbled at every single hurdle, is rewarded instead. That's exactly what southern states feel is happening to them with the delimitation process. There are several studies, several data analysis based on prediction of numbers that tell you how the delimitation process, if purely done on the basis of population, is going to impact states. One of the most popular, most read or referred to report is Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, which has based its report on 2026 projections for each of these states. According to that report, Uttar Pradesh may end up gaining 11 more Lok Sabha constituencies, taking its number from 80 to 91. Bihar would probably gain 10 more seats under the new delimitation process. Madhya Pradesh can also see significant increase in the number of seats. However, states like Tamil Nadu probably will lose 8 seats. A state like Kerala or even Telangana may end up losing 8 seats. Andhra Pradesh may lose 8 seats again, and a state like Karnataka may end up losing 2. This is the concern of southern states, and this is where Union Home Minister Amit Shah insisted that southern states will not lose a single seat in the delimitation process. But the question here is not just about whether southern states will lose seats. The question is also about whether northern states, ill performing, underperforming states that have failed to stabilize their population explosion, that have failed to implement effective population control measures, will be rewarded by enhancing their representation in the parliament, because the more number of seats they get, the lesser representation southern states will automatically get. Look at the ratio. Whether it is Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan in Kerala, Revanth Reddy, the Chief Minister of Telangana, MK Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, or Karnataka's Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, all of them have vocally opposed the delimitation process purely based on population. In fact, Karnataka's Chief Minister Siddaramaiah insists the delimitation process should be carried out still on the basis of the 1971 census data. Alternatively, Siddaramaiah insists that the number of Lok Sabha seats should be increased proportionally instead of basing them purely on population. It's not just chief ministers in different states, even opposition leaders, of course not the BJP, opposition leaders in other states also have come on board with MK Stalin's opposition to the delimitation process. Take, for example, Bharat Rashtra Samiti in Telangana. Its leader KTR has come out in support of MK Stalin. In fact, KTR has gone one step forward and said the process of delimitation should be based on the contribution of each of the state towards the country's GDP. Telangana's Chief Minister Revanth Reddy has also insisted that there will be vehement protests if the union government goes ahead and implements a delimitation process that is going to adversely impact southern states. Amit Shah insists that while there will be no reduction in the number of seats in the south, delimitation process will be held on a pro rata basis. Now, what does he mean by this pro rata basis is something that nobody seems to have an answer to. How exactly is the union government going to go about the delimitation process if it is not going to base it on population alone? The existing seat structure in Lok Sabha and in turn the Rajya Sabha is already skewed and biased against southern states, despite these states contributing almost 1/3 of the entire nation's GDP. All the southern states put together make up just about 25% of the entire Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha membership. However, their contribution, like I said, to the country's economy is 1/3. This is what KTR means when he says population cannot be the only basis, and perhaps states should be given representation based on their contribution to the country. When political representation is skewed, policy making will not be inclusive. After all, it will be favorable to the largest number. Southern states are already bearing the brunt of Hindi imposition, of devolution of taxes being far lesser than their fair share, all thanks to skewed representation in the parliament. If delimitation process is based purely on the basis of population, this divide will only widen further. Well, one should definitely ask this question: what is the reward that is being given to the southern states for implementing population control measures effectively as asked to by the union government? And on the other side, what is the price that underperforming, ill performing states are paying for failing to do exactly that? Southern states are not asking for underperforming states to be penalized, to be punished for failing to implement population control measures effectively. All that they are asking is that the union government not punish them, if not reward them. At least don't penalize them for effectively implementing policies that the union government wanted them to in the first place. It's one thing not to hold underperforming states, especially states that are in north and central part of India. It is one thing not to hold them accountable or ask them to pay a price for not implementing these policies effectively, but it's a whole unfair, unjust act to penalize southern states for doing well. Of course, as always, there is a lot of politics behind it. At the very beginning of the show, I did tell you that Tamil Nadu has raised this issue also in a timely manner. 2026, the delimitation process freeze is going to end, and 2026, the state is also heading into elections. But the BJP also has a lot to gain from the delimitation process if it is purely implemented on the basis of population. Look at the states that are set to get higher representation through the delimitation process. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, all of these Hindu heartland states that are the core vote getters for the BJP. Ideologically inclined, in tow with the BJP, states that give the BJP massive election victories. Vis-a-vis the southern states, the BJP is not in power in any of the southern states except it is an alliance partner in the NDA government led by Chandrababu Naidu of the TDP in Andhra Pradesh. Most often than not, political parties in India accuse each other of politicizing an issue. Likewise, the BJP too has accused the DMK of politicizing not just the process of delimitation but also NEP, the three-language policy. But if you do not politicize this issue, then what else will you politicize? This is fundamentally the question of political representation in India. Politicize delimitation process because this fundamentally impacts your political representation in the country. Until next week, when we come back to you with another topic that is being hotly debated in the South and making headlines, or an analysis of what is happening in poll-bound states, do stay tuned to South First. Thank you for watching.